Hello, my name is Andy Milner and I am the band director at Paintsville Independent, and I'm here to teach you all about theory. And I'm using this book right here, Master Theories by Charles S. Peters and Paul Yoder. And today we're going to be doing lesson 8, and the lesson is about time signatures. Alright, time signatures. And what a time signature looks like is it's almost sort of like a fraction, but it's placed on a music staff. And it's usually placed right after one of the clefs. So this could be a bass clef as well. And then the number is usually placed right there. So just like a fraction, only without any type of line or anything like that. So two numbers on top of one another. There can be different combinations of numbers as well. You can have, say, 2-4 or 3-4, or you could have, say, 6-8 or 2-2, anything like that. Any combinations of numbers. Now, that you know what it looks like is one thing. I want you to ultimately grasp what it does. Now, it tells us two things. The top number tells us how many beats are in a measure. And you should already know what a measure is. So this is a measure. And you have to know how many beats are in there. In order to find that out, you look at the top number. So in any one of these cases, if I was asked how many beats are in a measure, I would say 4, or I would say 2, or 3, or 6, or 2. Now the bottom number, that is telling us what note gets the beat. Now this is a lot easier than it sounds, truly is. It's all in relation to a whole note, and I'll just show you. Let's pretend that this is our whole note. Think of that whole note as being just a big pie, all right, one big pie. Now, if I change my number to 1, that would mean that there could be 4 whole notes inside of this measure. I could do this. I could draw 4 whole notes. However, if I take that piece of pie, let's go back to here, and I slice it in 2, then I'm dealing with half notes. This gets 2 beats, and this gets 2 beats, and now I'm talking about half notes. So if I change this number to a 2, then I'm dealing with, half notes in this instance. It's all in relationship. Like, how many can fit in this whole note? 2. So I look at 2 and I say, okay, what type of note can I fit 2 times into a whole note? And that would be a half note. So I would have to go in here and say I can fit 4 half notes inside of here. All right? And then what if I divided it again? Divided that again. Well, now I'm dealing with 4 of them, and there are 4 quarter notes inside of a whole note. 4 quarter notes. So if I went over here and I changed this to 4-4, which is the most common time signature that you will see, this means I'll have to ask myself, what type of note can I fit 4 times inside of a whole note? And the answer is quarter note. This represents quarter notes. So I would go in here, and I'm going to do this very messily due to time, but you get the idea. 4 quarter notes can fit inside of here in a measure. So that's the whole idea here. Now if I kept moving it further and I divided this into 8 equal parts, then we're dealing with eighth notes. And I could then divide it into 16ths. And then I would divide it into 32nds. And it just keeps going and going and going. So that's what a time signature does. This one, remember, tells us how many beats per measure, and this number tells us what note gets the beat. As long as you can remember that, you'll be fine.
All right, lesson 8, time signatures. Just to review, at the beginning of every piece of music, there is a time signature. It is made up of two numbers placed one above the other like this, sort of like a fraction. The upper number tells us the number of beats in a measure. This means there are 2 beats in each measure. And this means that there are 3 beats in a measure. And this means that there are 4. The lower number tells us the kind of note that gets 1 beat. Remember, if you see a 4 at the bottom, it means that the quarter note gets the beat. And that's, of course, what the quarter note looks like again. Our student assignment. 1. How many beats are there in each measure of 4/4? What number do we look at to find out the number of beats? Well, we look at the top number. Okay, so there's our answer, 4. 2. How many beats are there in each measure of 2/4? Okay, the answer is 2 because we look at that top number. Number 3, how many beats are there in each measure of 3/4? 3. Okay, and then what note receives 1 beat in 3/4? So many people get this confused. Look up here. This means that a quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay, if you see this number, it means that the quarter note gets 1 beat. All right, so if we're to hear what note receives 1 beat in 3/4, well, the quarter note does. And then let's see, number 5. What note receives 1 beat in 4/4? Again, we see that, the quarter. And again, what note receives 1 beat in 2/4? The quarter. That's as easy as it gets. Alright, and then memorize. The top number always tells the number of beats in a measure, and the bottom number always tells the kind of note that gets 1 beat. Alright, that's it, you all. Great lesson, and we'll see you in lesson 9. Thanks a lot.